Hello everyone, today I'll take you on a tour of this 2024 Toyota Prius Prime, and I'll show you why it's one of the best hybrid cars on the market today. The Prius has always been a go-to vehicle for fuel efficiency, and this new one ups the style of the model and makes it into a very desirable vehicle. So without further ado, let's go and get into it. Thank you to Michael's Toyota of Bellevue for providing me with this 2024 Toyota Prius Prime. They have all the latest Toyota models, from the new Tundra pickups to older Toyota Camrys and new 4Runners, as well as every other Toyota model you can imagine. So if you're in the Seattle area and you're looking for a new Toyota vehicle, I highly recommend that you check out Michael's Toyota of Bellevue. Alright, so let's go ahead and start off with this infotainment system in the middle here. And this one is an 8-inch screen, so you can see over here. This is actually the smaller of the two Prius infotainment systems. You can get a larger screen in the Prius. That one's going to be around a 12-inch screen. This one's the smaller screen, as you can see, but it is just as nice as the larger one. You can see to use it, it is very easy to use. So, I apologize for the glare. It's quite sunny outside. But hopefully I think you guys should be able to see this. As you can see over here, it's very easy to use. All you have to do really is tap. There are these 5 shortcuts on the left. Those will take you to your various functions. So you can see here, this is the navigation map. They include a navigation system. So I can go ahead, tap get started, and that'll allow me to set up the navigation subscription service. So this uses, as you can see over here, this uses the internet to navigate you, and you can subscribe via the screen over here, and you can tap the search icon for some search guidance for my navigation system. Also, if I tap that icon, that is my audio. You can see over here different audio settings. I can search for audio, as well change my different sources. I have radio, Apple Music, and Amazon Music, which is quite neat. Coming around over here, this is my cell phone. So over here I can tap connected device to connect my cell phone to the vehicle. This car button will allow me to look at different car statistics, and this being a hybrid has some special things that I'll highlight in just a moment. See here, climate settings, front and rear climate. You have trip information, energy flow. You can see this will go ahead and show me my plug-in hybrid status, that this being a Prime model. My charging schedule, so again, this is a Prime, I can plug it in, so I can modify that over here, and also a alert system. And finally, the settings icon for some other vehicle settings, as well as customizing it. I can also look at my store dealer and other information I can adjust using this screen. So again, this screen is a very intuitive screen, very easy and simple to use. So a lot of different features are available. I also have this physical volume dial, which is neat. So I can go ahead, press that. See over there, I'm on AM radio right now. And that'll allow me to adjust my radio settings. Again, a very simple, easy to use infotainment system that you'll get the hang of really quickly. Alright, so next up, let's talk about what's below the infotainment system. So over here, we can see 2 air vents here in the middle. Your hazard lights are flanked in between. You also have these climate control settings over here. As you can see, you have heated seats in this particular model. You have the front defrost over here, the rear defrost, turning off the climate control, temperature settings over here, fan speed, your adjustments for controlling where the air is coming out from, recirculating and fresh air options, as well as air conditioning. You turn that on. You also have automatic climate control over there, and those are your basic climate controls. Again, everything is actually physical, which is quite neat. That way you don't have to mess with the infotainment system for that. Below over here, you have a USB port, as well as this is for CarPlay and Android Auto. You also have wireless connectivity. You have a charging only USB port over here, and you also have a 12-volt outlet over there. You also have some storage over here. You can stick in like a phone or other items over here, and I can open that up actually for some even deeper storage if I want to, which is quite neat. Behind that, 2 full-size cup holders to stick whatever you want. This gear selector, I'll get to that in just a moment. A wireless charger here. This is actually a sideway one, so you can see I kind of have to stick it in like that from the side, and that way it doesn't wobble around and whatever when you're driving, which is quite neat. This is your drive mode selector. I'll get to that in a little bit. And you also have your electronic parking brake over here as well. This is the automatic transition from EV to hybrid vehicle. I'll get to those settings in a bit. These are Prime specific things that the regular Prius will not have. These are things that the Prime do get, however. This is your automatic hold feature. I'll talk about that as well. And it's traction control off button. Behind that, you have a center console. Go ahead, open that up. And you have a pretty decent amount of storage in there, as well as 2 charging USB ports as well. So overall, a pretty practical interior that has quite a bit going for it. Very, very easy, intuitive, again, classic Toyota. Alright, so next up, let's talk about the steering wheel and the gauge cluster in this vehicle. And this actually has a little bit more to note in a typical car, because the Prius has the gauge cluster kind of mounted a little bit farther away from you. You can see it's kind of closer to the actual windshield instead of right in your field of vision. And that is so that when you're driving, you're actually supposed to kind of look like this. You're kind of just supposed to look forward and drive rather than look under occasionally for your speed, which is a kind of a neat idea. But you can see the steering wheel. I've kind of positioned it a little bit farther down so that I can see the gauge cluster. But you also do have a manual tilt and telescoping control, so I can stick it a little bit above here, as you can see. And now I have it a little bit above, so this is for taller drivers. And for shorter drivers like myself, I'm 5'9", and you can see for that kind of a scenario, I can put it a little bit further down, and now it's in a more comfortable position for me. So that's the steering wheel situation in this vehicle. You can see over here, all the controls are also on the steering wheel. You have this control over here to control this gauge cluster screen. So let's go ahead. I just activated the wipers. But let's go ahead and talk about this gauge cluster screen. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And for this screen, again, we use this control on the steering wheel to control this back button as well as these. And over here, you can see over here, I have a variety of different things. These are my safety settings, including lane departure alert, blind spot monitoring, and a couple of other safety features, parking assist. And if I tap this up button, you can see I can look at all the different things. So this is my eco score. So this is related to efficiency and all those statistics. Below that is my adaptive cruise control mode. So this is going to be adaptive cruise control and a navigation view. Below that is audio settings, then my trip odometer and other vehicle information. I have an energy monitor as well as a tire pressure monitor. Settings, this is the safety settings over here. So you can continue scrolling. Here's some more safety settings, and then here's some vehicle settings as well. Going down, this is for any other messages that the car wants to show me. I can also press this back button, so this back button over here, and that'll go ahead centralize all the information, so I don't have anything else in my view other than this gauge cluster. You can see gauge cluster and other relevant information. All that is front and center. So that is a very configurable gauge cluster, and again, it's a little bit above where you would normally have your gauge cluster, because you're supposed to just keep your eyes forward and look at it. So you can see over here, if I zoom out a little bit, so here's a bit of a zoomed out view. It just goes above instead of kind of in front. So that's the gauge cluster situation in this vehicle. So let's go and talk about the back seat over here. The door handle is actually in an interesting location. It is not down here like most cars. Instead, it's up here. So you go ahead, use the electronic release up there. Let's go ahead, climb in. So in here, you can see a good amount of space, actually. I've kind of positioned the seat where I would drive the car. I'm 5'9", and as you can see over here, a ton of legroom, actually. Surprising for a compact vehicle. This is pretty similar size to a Corolla, actually. Back here, you can see door panel, pretty normal door panel. You have a cup holder, kind of small size of storage over there. Also have this single map pocket at the back of the passenger seat. Coming around over here, you have a center armrest, and you can go ahead and drop it down. And here, 2 cup holders available too. You also have down here 2 USB ports and a household outlet. If you want to plug in whatever you want back here, you have that option as well. Because this is a kind of a hybridized vehicle, you also have a pretty close to flat back floor, so the middle seat is also pretty comfortable. It isn't too tight back here. And in terms of headroom, I have a good amount of headroom up here as well. Also, there is LED lighting back here. So overall, a pretty comfortable regular back seat, basically what you would expect. To fold down the rear seats, all you have to do is use this latch up here. So you go ahead, do that. Rear seat folds down. This one has all weather mats. Again, that's how it looks like back here. Pretty standard back seat, what you would expect from a Prius. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the cargo area of this Prius Prime. So to do that, there's a latch over here. Go ahead, open that latch. And you can pull the hatchback rest of the way. And that is a big benefit of the Prius, is that it is a hatchback, not a typical sedan, which means you have a large opening and a good amount of cargo space. I believe, said it's around 20 cubic feet, which is pretty large for a compact vehicle. You can see over here, this one has all other floor mats in back, and also this cargo cover in back as well. Again, to fold down the rear seats, just do what I mentioned earlier. Around the side here's like some parts for the battery. You also have a little bit of extra storage in there. And if I want to go under the floor, you can see over here, I'm going to go ahead and lift it up. And here it is. Here's what's under here. You can see I have this kind of foam area here. And you also have a fix-a-flat kit there. So pretty typical underfloor items in the back of this vehicle. Alright, so let's go ahead and also talk about the drive mode in this Prius. So to do that, you can see over here you have this simple drive mode selector, and that'll go ahead and show you the different drive modes in the screen. So you can see here I can go ahead and adjust it, zoom in. So you have a custom mode, a sport mode, a normal mode, and then an economy drive mode. So this one will conserve fuel. And so again, a pretty normal, typical drive mode selector. In terms of the shifter, this one's also an interesting shifter. It's not like a regular shifter where you just pull it back or whatever. Instead, you have to kind of like, see over here, I push it left and up, and you do that, and then you push the P for park. So in terms of the camera system, if you're wondering, you do get a backup camera. You can see, I'll go ahead and shift into reverse. You can see you have a backup camera over here. It does give you distance lines, and you also do have parking sensors over there as well. So a pretty comprehensive, decently equipped camera system. If I shift into drive, see the camera system will revert back to the regular infotainment system, and press the P to park the vehicle. So normal shifter, and those are the drive modes in this vehicle as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the exterior styling of the new Prius. And you can see coming around in here, here's the front end of the new Prius. You can see Toyota badge over there. Very limited air openings. Again, this is a plug-in hybrid vehicle after all, this particular model. You can see coming over here, you have LED turn signals over there. You also have a LED headlight as well as LED daytime running lamps up front. Coming around to the side, here are the wheels of this particular Prime model. This one is the XSE model. And coming around over here, here is the side profile of the new Prius. You can see it is a very drastic difference from the old model. So here's a few of the old models over there. Let me go and zoom in. See, that one is the previous generation, the one before that, and then the one before that one as well. So a few of the older models over there, very different from those. This one has a new modern, striking, polarizing design, very different from the Prius we're used to. Coming around back here, unfortunately there's not much space to show you guys back here, but you can see over here amber LED turn signals, as you can see coming around back, and also a full LED light bar coming around back as well. You can see a massive light bar across the whole width of the vehicle, and a giant Prius badge back there as well. And again, if I open the hatch, If I open the hatch, you can see that'll go ahead, stay alive. The ambient turn signal stays over there, in case you're curious what it looks like if I open the hatchback. And here's the rest of the exterior. Again, very polarizing, very striking design, very different particularly from other older Toyota Prius models. Alright, and while on outside of this vehicle, let's also talk about the fuel and charging doors of the Prius. So you can see over here, here's the fuel door. You can see a pretty normal fuel door. You have a cap over there, and nothing unusual here. Coming on to the other side though, that's where you'll find the charge point. So this is the Prime model, so you will get a plug-in hybrid system, which means you can plug in the vehicle. So go ahead, press that, and that'll open up the charge point area. You can see over here you can plug in. This is your regular 240 volt household outlet. You can also just plug it in via a regular 120 volt household. Now you can see regular household prongs. So this is where you would plug in the Prius Prime if you want to go on electricity only. And here's also a look at the general interior of the new Prius. So you can see over here, soft touch over there, nice and padded over here. You can see over here, very nice, comfy, nice looking door panel. This one being the XSE will get you the leather seats. You can see over here, nice leather seats over here as well over there. You do have power seats on the XSE model as well. And coming around to the rest of the interior, again, here's the steering wheel of the new Prius. A very nice grip steering wheel. It's all leather wrapped, by the way, which is quite neat. Gauge cluster, all of them will get the same gauge cluster. Also have the infotainment system here. As you can see over here, you can get the larger or smaller one. Around here, padded area over there, and a very nice interior overall. Again, very nicely laid out, I have to say. Shifter down here, and then the seats, again, like I mentioned, they are the Softex leather seats. Very comfortable seats that are quite nice and get the job done pretty well. And here's a look at the back seats as well in there. So overall, a very nice interior and a pretty big step up actually from some of the older Priuses that, well, a little cheap. This one quite nice inside. And then finally, let's go ahead, head under the hood of the Prius Prime. So this particular model gets you 220 horsepower with the electric motors powering the back wheels, and then the engine here powering the front wheels. The engine gets you around 160, and the electric motors power the rest. Also, in terms of electric only range, the Prime will get you around 44 miles of electric only range, which is actually a pretty healthy amount. So if you were just going from work to work every day, and you're within that 44-mile range, you don't even have to use the gas engine at all, because the electric only range will get the job done for you. But there is a look at what's under the hood, also very exposed, which is quite neat. And so there you have it. That's the new 2023-2024 Toyota Prius. This model is an excellent compact sedan. It is one of the very best, and that'll get you some of the nicest fuel efficiency in the market as well. So if you're in the market for a new compact sedan and also want the best fuel efficiency you can get at the same time, I highly recommend you go for the new Prius.